Hello my dear students, welcome to the class of biology. In today's session, I will be solving the NEET level question of the year 2019. So from the biology you will get 90 questions and each question will carry 4 marks. So overall you will get 360 marks. So let's start with the first question, that is question number 91. In the question number 91, as you can see here, the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992 was called, there are 4 options given below: to reduce carbon dioxide emission and global warming, for conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of its benefits. Third option is to access threat posed to native species by invasive weed species. Fourth option is for immediate steps to discontinue use of chlorofluorocarbons that were damaging the ozone layer. So which among them is the correct option? So the Earth Summit in 1992 called all the nations for conservation of biodiversity and the utilization of its benefits. So which among them is the correct option? As you can see here, that is option number 2, for conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of its benefits. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 92. Colostrum, which is the yellowish fluid secreted by the mother during the initial days of lactation, is very essential to impart immunity to the newborn infants because it contains, first option is natural killer cell, second option is monocytes, third option is macrophages, and fourth one is immunoglobulin A. So which among them is the correct option? We have already discussed in the chapter human reproduction. So colostrum, that is the yellowish fluid, and the lactation period which is of 6 month duration. So in that period the substances, that is the immunoglobulin A, is beneficial for the newborn baby because it helps to impart the immune system. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 4, immunoglobulin A is the correct option. Now let's move on to the question number 93. As you can see here, the grass leaves curl inwards during very dry weather. Select the most appropriate reason from the following. First option is the closure of stomata, second option is flaccidity of bulliform cells, third option is shrinkage of air spaces in spongy mesophyll, and the fourth option is tylosis in vessel. So we have already discussed this in the chapter transport in plants. There we have seen some of the plants, they curl their leaves during the dry weather. Why they do it so? Because to minimize the water loss. So water loss that take place due to the transpiration process. So during this process what happens? The bulliform cells get flaccid and it helps to minimize the water loss that take place during transpiration. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2, flaccidity of bulliform cell is the correct option. So in the question number 94, you can see here the shorter and longer arms of a submetacentric chromosome are referred to. These are the options given below. We have already discussed this in the chapter genetics. So what happens in the submetacentric chromosome? The submetacentric chromosomes are the chromosomes in which the chromosomes are not of equal size. One arm is shorter and the next arm is longer arm. Let's draw the figure. So we know this is the chromosomes and these are the this is the position of centromere. So this is the short arm and this short arm is represented as P, and this is the long arm that is represented as Q. Shorter one P, that means petite, and this is the longer arm which is called as Q. So the short arm is called as the P arm and the long arm is called as the Q arm. Now let's see what are the options which is given in this question. So here these are the options given below. Where is the P arm and Q arm? that is in the option number 2, P arm and Q arm respectively, which means the shorter arm is the P arm and the longer arm is the Q arm. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 95. So in this question, as you can see here, the respiratory quotient, that is RQ value of trypalmethane is, these are the options given below, and we have already discussed this. This is directly to the NCERT textbook questions. What you know about respiratory quotient? Have you remembered the formula of it? RQ, that is the respiratory quotient, is equal to the amount of carbon dioxide released divided by the amount of oxygen consumed. This is a direct question from NCERT textbook. So if you calculate it, you will get the respiratory quotient is 0.7. Now let's see what are the options given below. So in the option number 1, as you can see here, that is 0.9, next is 0.7, third option is 0.07 and the fourth option is 0.09. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 2, 0.07. Now let's move on to the question number 96. Which of the following is a commercial blood cholesterol lowering agent? Here are the options which are given below: cyclosporin A, statin, streptokinase, and the fourth option is lipase. This is a direct question from the chapter Microbes and Human Welfare. So I guess you will get to know about this answer. What is it? That is the option number 2, statin. This statin is obtained by the fungi Monoscus purpureus. Which fungi? This is the fungi which obtain the agent, that is the statin, and this statin helps in inhibiting the synthesis of cholesterol level. So I hope it is very clear with you. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 97. So in the question number 97, as you can see here, match the following structure with their respective location in organs. So pancreas, then duodenum, small intestine and liver. So the structure crypts of Lieberkühn, where does it found? It is found in small intestine. And the next is Glisson capsule, that is found in the organ liver. And next is islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans is found in the endocrine glands of the pancreas. And the last one is Brunner's gland. It is found in duodenum. So which among them is the correct option? Option number 3 is the correct option. So this is a very easy question. Now let's move on to the question number 98. It has said that which of the following is the most important cause for animals and plants being driven to extinction? There are 4 options: habitat loss and fragmentation, drought and floods, economic exploitation, alien species invasion. So this is a very direct question from the unit ecology. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 1, habitat loss and fragmentation is the correct option for this. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 99. It has said that which part of the brain is responsible for thermoregulation? Here are 4 options. Option number 1 is the cerebrum, option number 2 is the hypothalamus, option number 3 is corpus callosum, and option number 4 is the medulla oblongata. So this is also a very easy questions and very direct from the NCERT textbook. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 2, hypothalamus. This is the center of the brain which regulates thermoregulation. And what do you mean by thermoregulation? Thermoregulation, which means constant regulation of the body temperature. So which part of the brain is going to do it? That is the hypothalamus. Consider the following features: organ system level of organization, bilateral symmetry, true coelomates with segmentation of the body. And here we have to select the correct option of animal groups which possess all the above characteristics. So this is also a very direct question from NCERT textbook from the chapter Structural Organization in Animals. So here we have discussed all the characteristics which are common to all the living organism, that discuss the level of organization, then symmetrical part, and next is the coelomate. Coelomate means the body cavity. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 1, Annelida, Arthropoda and Chordata. These are the animal groups which are having this following features. So I hope it is very clear with you. Now let's move on to the next question, that is 100 number 1. Select the correct sequence of organs in the alimentary canal of cockroach starting from the mouth, and these are the options which are given below. So this is a very direct question from NCERT textbook. Which among them is the correct option? That is option number 1, pharynx, then esophagus, crop, then gizzard, then ileum, colon and rectum. So this is the correct sequence of the organs in the alimentary canal of cockroach. Now let's move on to the next question. So as you can see here, which of the following pairs of gases is mainly responsible for greenhouse effect? Ozone and ammonia, oxygen and nitrogen, nitrogen and sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide and methane. So this is a very direct question from the NCERT textbook of the chapter environmental issue. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 4, carbon dioxide and methane. Carbon dioxide which contribute 60% and methane is 20%. So I hope you have understood it. Now let's move on to the next question, that is in the question number 103, which of the following muscular disorder is inherited? First option is tetany, next option is muscular dystrophy, third option is myasthenia gravis, and the fourth option is botulism. So what is tetany? Tetany, it is a kind of disorder in the muscular system which take place because of low calcium level in the body fluids. Whereas next one is the muscular dystrophy. It is the autoimmune disorder which paralyze the skeletal muscles. And the third one, that is the myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is, it is an autoimmune disorder which paralyze the skeletal muscle. And the fourth one, that is the botulism. It is the food poisoning disease which take place because of a bacteria. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2, muscular dystrophy. So I hope it is very clear with you. Now let's move on to the next question. So in this question number 104, what it has been said? That the ciliated epithelial cells are required to move particle to mucus in a specific direction, and in human these cells are mainly present in option number 1 is bile duct and bronchioles, option number 2 is fallopian tube and pancreatic duct, option number 3 is eustachian tube and the salivary duct, and option number 4 is the bronchioles and fallopian tube. So we have already discussed this in the chapter Structural Organization in Animals. Ciliated epithelium, you know how does it look? These are the cilia, and here is the, these are the nucleus, and here is the cytoplasm. So what is the function of the ciliated epithelial cells? They move the particles from one place to another place. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 4, bronchioles and fallopian tube is the correct option. Now let's move on to the next question, that is 105. So we have to match the column 1 with column 2. In the column 1, P wave, then QRS complex, T wave, reduction in the size of T wave. and in the column 2 it has been written that depolarization of ventricles, then repolarization of ventricles, coronary ischemia, and the fourth one is depolarization of atria, and the fifth one is the repolarization of atria. So, we have to select the correct option among them. So, which among them is the correct option? So, the P wave is actually the depolarization of atria, then QRS complex, that is depolarization of the ventricles, and the T wave, that is repolarizations of the ventricles, and the reduction in the size of T wave is coronary ischemia. So, we have already got this in the class 11 chapter, that is of body fluids and the circulation. So, the correct option will be option number 1. Now, let us move on to the next question, that is 106. So, in the question number 106, as you can see here, which one of the following is not a method of in situ conservation of biodiversity? Here are the options given below: biosphere reserve, wildlife sanctuary, botanical garden, or sacred grove. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter biodiversity and conservation. So, I hope it is very clear with you. So, in situ and ex situ conservation, right? So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 3, botanical garden is the correct answer. Now, let us move on to the next question, that is 107. In this question, it has been said that in a species, the weight of newborn ranges from 2 to 5 kg. 97% of the newborn with an average weight between 3 to 3.3 kg survive, whereas 99% of the infants born with weight from 2 to 2.5 kg or 4.5 to 5 kg die. Which type of selection process is taking place? First is directional selection, stabilizing selection, disruptive selection, or the cyclical selection. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter evolution. So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2, stabilizing selection. Now, let us move on to the next question, that is 108. So, here it has been asked, what is the correct sequence of phases of the cell cycle, which means mitosis, then G1, that is the gap phase, then G2, that is the gap 2 phase, and S is the synthesized phase. So, which among them is the correct option? We have already got this in the chapter cell cycle and cell divisions. I hope you have remembered the cell cycle and all its phases. You know, interphase stage, that comprises of G1 phase, then S phase, and then the G2 phase. Whereas the M phase, that is the mitosis phase, in which there are stages, that is called as the prophase, then metaphase, anaphase, then telophase, right? So, which among them is the correct option? That is option number 4. So, in the question 109, how does steroid hormone influences the cellular activities? There are 4 options: changing the permeability of the cell membrane, binding to the DNA and forming a gene hormone complex. Option number 3 is the activating cyclic AMP located on the cell membrane, and the fourth option is using aquaporin channel as second messenger. We have already discussed in the chapter chemical coordination and integrations. So, what does it do? The steroid hormones, it binds with the receptor which is present in the nucleus, right? And then it forms a complex. That complex interacts with the genome. Genome, that means the complete set of the genetic material. So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2 is the correct option. That is binding to the DNA and forming a gene hormone complex. Now, let us move on to the next question. In this question, as you can see here, which of the following statement is not correct? First option is lysosomes have numerous hydrolytic enzymes. Option number 2 is the hydrolytic enzymes of lysosome are active under acidic pH. Option number 3 is the lysosomes are membrane bound structure, and option number 4 is the lysosomes are formed by the process of packaging in the endoplasmic reticulum. So, from here we have to select which of them is the incorrect answer. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter the cell, the unit of life, right? So, I hope you have remembered. So, lysosome, it actually forms by the packaging in the Golgi apparatus, but here it has been said in the option number 4 that lysosomes are formed by the process of packaging in the endoplasmic reticulum. So, this is the incorrect answer. So, I have selected this option number 4. Now, let us move on to the next question. What you can see here? Which one of the following statement regarding post-fertilization development in the flowering plant is incorrect? First option is ovary develops into fruit, zygote develops into embryo, central cell develops into endosperm, and the fourth option is ovules develop into embryo sac. So, we have discussed this in the chapter to sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So, which among them is the incorrect answer? Option number 1, ovary develops into fruit, that is the correct answer. Zygote develops into embryo, that is also correct, and the central cell develops into endosperm, that is also correct. But the fourth option, that is ovules develop into embryo sac, this is incorrect. So, what will be the correct answer? That is ovules developed into seed. So, I hope it is very clear with you. Now, let us move on to the next question. Concanvaline A is an alkaloid, an essential oil, a lactine, a pigment. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter biomolecules. I hope you have remember one table is there for the secondary metabolite is actually a lactine. So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 3. So, in this question number 113, you can see here which one of the following equipment is essentially required for growing microbes on a large scale for industrial production of enzymes. Here are 4 options: BOD incubator, that is the biological oxygen demand incubator. Second option is the sludge digester. Third option is the industrial oven, and the fourth option is the bioreactor. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter biotechnology principle and process. I hope you have remembered the chapter very well. So, which among them is the correct option? The option number 4, bioreactor. Now, let us move on to the next question, that is 114. Consider the following statement: coenzyme or metal ion that is tightly bound to enzyme protein is called prosthetic group. Option number B, a complete catalytic active enzyme with its bound prosthetic group is called as the apoenzyme. So, from here we have to select the correct option. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter biomolecules. So, first option, that is coenzyme or metal ion that is tightly bound to the enzyme protein is called as the prosthetic group. That is the correct statement. And the next statement is a complete catalytic active enzyme with its bound prosthetic group is called as the apoenzyme. Is this correct answer? No. So, what will be the correct answer for this? That is called as the holoenzyme. So, which among them is the correct option? That is A is true but B is false. So, option number 2 is the correct answer.